Good morning and welcome aboard. Allow me to introduce myself. My name is Mackenzie Mungai and I'm a naturalist here at Allen Marine Tours in Juneau, Alaska. I'm here to talk to you today about the importance of whale watching in a safe and respectful manner while taking you on a virtual whale watching tour. So let's dive in. And remember, if you see a spout, give a shout. Now, before we head out, let's look at our float plan. We have been listening to the radio actively, and we do this to ensure we are limiting our speed in areas that we could encounter whales. Our main mission is to protect and conserve the humpback whales while inspiring you to do the same. It looks like we've just spotted our first North Pacific humpback whale. We will get into an idle position and view these beautiful cetaceans from a distance. You might have heard me mention the word cetacean. This is referring to the order which includes marine mammals such as whales, dolphins, and porpoise. Off in the distance we can see some Dall's porpoise. These porpoise create fan-shaped splashes called rooster tails. These are the fastest out of any porpoise and can travel at top speeds of up to 30 miles per hour. Humpback whales are normally a solitary species, meaning they travel alone. However, they do travel in pods to carry out a complex feeding strategy called bubble net feeding. This pod of whales is setting up to bubble net feed. Bubble net feeding is when a pod of humpback whales swarm and corral herring or other schooling fish. The whales will blow bubbles up from the bottom and trick and disorient the fish into thinking that they have a net around them. This is a matriarchy, meaning there is a dominant female. The female will send a signal that allows the other whales to know it's feeding time, and all will open up their huge balloon-shaped mouths and take a big gulp of the fish, pushing the excess water out of their mouths with their ginormous tongues. However, they must be careful what they eat because their throats are only 9 inches in diameter, or the size of a grapefruit. Wow, what a show! We can see off in the distance another spout. This is most likely the mother. This is a cow and calf pair that seem to be trying to find their way back to each other. They are using a series of breaches and pectoral flipper slaps to communicate with one another. Alright, we've been watching these whales for quite some time now. We're going to have to head out of here and see what else we can find. These humpback whales are protected under the Marine Mammal Protection Act. Legally, we cannot get within 100 yards of them, and we can't observe them for more than 30 minutes. We wouldn't want to disturb them. We are in their habitat and we want to respect that. There are a few rules and regulations that we do follow out here on the water. As mentioned before, we don't want to approach our whales within 100 yards. We also do not want to approach them head-on or chase them. While we are in the presence of whales, our max speed is an idle at about 7 knots, and we start to slow down drastically as soon as we catch sight of a whale. We also do other things out here on the water to ensure the protection of our humpback whales, like read their body language and behavior. For example, this whale is aggressively tail slapping the surface of the water. This may be an indicator that we are too close and the whale is irritated. At this point, we would back off and head out. What we are looking at now is a series of breaches and chin slaps. It is unknown why whales breach, but scientists believe it may either be for fun, communication, or a way to clean off barnacles and parasites from their bodies. These are our orca or killer whales. These are southern resident orcas, and we can identify this based on the region they inhabit and also their visual characteristics, such as their dorsal fin and saddle patch. There are 3 different ecotypes of orca: offshore, resident, and transient. Within these ecotypes, everything from their visual identification to their diet, social structure, vocalization, and range varies. One of the main ways to identify the ecotypes is their dorsal fin and saddle patch. The resident and transient orcas have a more rounded dorsal fin and have a sharper angle at the rear corner. They also have an open saddle patch. The offshore orcas have just the opposite: a straight dorsal fin that lacks the rounded tip and a closed saddle patch. As mentioned before, their vocalization varies based on ecotype. I'm going to show you just how different these groups can really be. First, I'm going to show you the southern resident orca vocalization, so you can get a good idea of what it may sound like under the surface. Now I'm going to show you what transient orca vocalization sounds like. Were you able to spot the difference? On top of this, their diet varies too. Resident orcas are feeding primarily on salmon, while transient and offshore orcas are feasting on various marine mammals such as sharks, rays, turtles, and even other whales. Orca whales are incredibly intelligent, and they are the largest member of the dolphin family. That's right, they are actually dolphins. Males can weigh upwards of 12,000 pounds and females can weigh up to 6,000 pounds. They are also very family-oriented. They will travel in pods throughout their entire lives. Their pods normally consist of anywhere from 5 to 40 individuals. This is one of our local celebrities here in Juneau, Alaska. This calf's name is Bunsen. She is here with her mother Flame. We can identify these whales based on a pattern on the underside of their tail flukes. These patterns contain varying pigments of whites and blacks, and they are very unique to each individual, almost like a fingerprint in our whales. Another beautiful breach. We normally only see the calves displaying this behavior, and this is because the adult humpback whales are trying to conserve their energy for their long migration back to their birthing grounds in Hawaii. These North Pacific humpback whales spend their summers building their fat reserves in Alaska, while they will then migrate to their birthing grounds in Hawaii. They have to build up their body fat in Alaska because this is the only source of nourishment throughout their migration, which is about a 3,000-mile round trip. These humpback whales will be fasting throughout their travels, but will also be nursing. Imagine feeding a baby and not eating yourself for months. These are incredible animals. Okay, we're going to shut the boat engines off now. I want you all to listen very closely for the big blow of the humpback whale. So we are able to see a few things here. First off, these whales are very close to our vessel. So at this point, the best thing for us to do is to try to stay as stationary as possible and turn our engines on low. Second, the blowhole of a whale is a great indicator as to what kind of teeth it has. The humpback whale has two holes side by side on the top of their heads. This is actually their nose, but the two holes indicates this is a baleen whale, meaning they don't have hard teeth like the orca whale, which only has one hole. And we will take that as a wave goodbye. Thank you so much for coming out today. I hope you had fun, and I hope you were able to take some valuable lessons with you about the importance of safe boating practices, as well as the importance of having a hand in protecting our oceans. And now for some ways that you can have a hand in conservation. Now we know that you have to keep your distance. Remember, we can't get within 100 yards of a humpback whale, so please give them their space. If you see a marine mammal in distress, make sure you are taking measures to report this to professional responders and scientists so that appropriate action can be taken. Call the NOAA Fisheries Enforcement Hotline to report a federal marine resource violation. I would like to end this tour with a quote from Jane Goodall. Remember, only if we understand can we care, only if we care will we help, and only if we help shall they be saved.